to the ball game. Take me out to the ground.
Good morning and welcome to Take Me Out to the Ball Game. We're just getting you warmed up here on the Wake Up Show on Handicappers Week 1, and Bobby is on the way. We've got other guys on the way as well, as we're going to be diving into fantasy football. Now, to get you caught up in the world of sports outside of fantasy football, the big storylines last night: Florida State loses on a Hail Mary to Jacksonville State, and head coach Mike Norvell is tap dancing and saying all the good coach speak. But the fact of the matter is, he's in over his head, and Florida State might have to start looking for a new coach already. The guy loses at home to Jacksonville State. He consistently cannot see, for some strange reason, that Milton is the better quarterback, and he kept putting out Travis out there, which kept the game close. Long story short, you leave an underdog in long enough, you give them a chance, and you give them an opportunity to win. Look what almost happened to Notre Dame yesterday. Notre Dame almost fell. Miami almost fell to Appalachian State. You can't let teams in. I don't care what level of play they're in. You can't let them sit around and stay in the ball game. So we move on from that. There was a no-hitter in baseball yesterday. Not that everyone paid attention to it because, college football was going on, and a combined no-hitter is kind of who really cares nowadays. But Burns and Hader of the Brewers combined for a no-hitter, so you want to know that. Oregon stuns Ohio State. I picked it. I'm pretty proud of that one. I've been talking about it all summer long, and Oregon goes into Columbus and shocks the number 4 team in the country. They'll obviously tumble, and they're in trouble because if they're going to make the playoffs, they're going to have to run the table, and they're going to have to be impressive in doing it. They're going to have to be impressive in doing it because they're going to be going up against other teams with 1 losses that they'll be fighting against in their resume, and we'll see how that goes as the season moves on. Like I just said, Toledo almost scares. Well, they put a scare into Notre Dame. Notre Dame held on by a few points at home. Toledo was a huge underdog. Hit that one. Florida's quarterback situation looks like he got itself worked out, that Richardson is the guy. Mullen is still saying it's Emory Jones, but Richardson was also limping on the sidelines. So we'll see if he's ready to go for Alabama. They might want save Richardson for the rest of the season because Alabama will most likely boat race the Gators. And Pittsburgh wins in Knoxville as the Panthers shock the Volunteers. Not really shock them, but they did put them on their ears, and they score 41 in Tennessee. And Iowa, this one was the most surprising to me yesterday. Iowa pounds Iowa State. Wasn't the fact that Iowa beat Iowa State. They won that game going away. They wore down. It was a pretty close game throughout. It was a low-scoring ball game, but once we hit late third quarter, they just pulled away, and Iowa State had nothing for them. Saquon Barkley has been cleared to play, so that's good news for all you Saquon Barkley managers. And Mets-Yankees last night, if you missed that, it was a great game. Yankees win, but the big thing was the 9/11 tribute that they did at the stadium. It was really, really cool. And Michigan looks solid against the University of Washington. So we'll see what the Wolverines can do long-term. Washington has not looked good at all this year yet, but you can't take that away from the Wolverines. They have looked really good. And real quick, before we expect Bobby here any second, so I'm going to do one more thing before we jump into the fantasy football and betting lines that we do every single day. We're going to take a look at the MLB standings as we go into, we just got a couple of weeks left, and looking at where everyone is in the American League. The Rays are still running away with the East, so no need to talk about that. And the White Sox are cruising in the AL Central. The Astros have a steady 5.5 game lead on Oakland and Seattle. They're not catching them. Saw a couple of prognosticators think that they're going to. Not going to happen, my friend. You're not going to catch the Houston Astros with 2 weeks to play, and you've got to make up 6 games in the loss column. Never going to happen. Atlanta has a 3.5 lead over Philly, 5 over the Mets. That's going to come down to the wire. Remember, Atlanta plays Philadelphia and New York the final week of the season, as we're bringing Bobby in here in a second. And the only other thing that we have left to talk about, Brewers are cruising. Giants are still 2.5 up on the Dodgers. So you like that. If you're a San Francisco fan, you've only got a few more weeks to go and you're trying to outlast them. And then, of course, San Diego, they are way in the back of the pack. But the wild card, real quick, we'll look at that and we'll dive into the football, is Boston and the Yankees and Toronto. They're all separated by 1 game for the wild card. Oakland and Seattle are hanging right behind them at 2 back. And in the National League, obviously the Dodgers will make it. San Diego is in a flat-footed tie with Cincinnati. The Cardinals, look out for the Cardinals. They're only 2 games back. All right, we're going to welcome in Bobby, and we're going to go ahead and start the show. So without further ado, welcome to the Handicappers Week 1. Welcome to the Handicappers, your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football, year long, and your DFS payouts. True Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, and your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers. Welcoming in Bobby the Kid with Joey and Tones Areola, with Stephen Troche and Sean O'Toole on the way, with your host, Mac McGee. Welcome to the Handicappers. Welcome to the Handicappers. I'm Mac McGee sitting alongside Bobby. Bobby, how the hell are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. Just let me know if my mic's crackling or anything like that. Don't be shy to tell me if something like that's happened, because when we come out of those things, I have issues sometimes, and I just need to know if I need to fix them. So we move on from there. Congrats to your Gators. Let me ask you something. Do you know any more about the Richardson injury?
From what it looked like and from what I talked to some people on Twitter, obviously nobody knows anything certain as of yet, but it looked to be a cramp at the time. I think the worst case scenario is that it's a slight hamstring pull, but I really don't think it's anything that'll keep him out for, too long.
Okay, so as long as the Twitter doctors are very confident, then why would we be confident, right? But the people,
take their word.
The people on Twitter, man, I swear, we are not doing well at Florida State. I can tell you that right now. everyone's in denial. I think the moment and the job is too big for Norvell, but we'll move on from that. I'm sorry, but I was talking about it a second ago. The only thing I can say is this: when it's very obvious that Milton is the better quarterback, and you keep putting in Travis, splitting time, and letting Jacksonville State hang around. And don't get me wrong, the rest of the team played terribly. Helton dropped a for sure touchdown to start the game. I think that affected the psyche of the team. That's a pretty fragile psyche. But I guess my whole take on the entire thing is when your own head coach can't tell who the better quarterback is, that's a damn problem. And so that tells me, even though I wanted to believe in him, that I need to understand that if he can't understand who the best quarterback is, maybe we didn't understand who the best coach was for that job. So
I'm kind of looking at Florida in the same light right now with the whole Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson situation. I think Richardson has proved to be the better quarterback over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah,
but,
the only thing that I would question on that is, do you think he's doing this because he doesn't want to get Richardson murdered by Alabama? And then after the Alabama game, he goes to Richardson?
I don't think that's something you can risk. If you have a quarterback that you think is capable of possibly pulling off the win against Alabama, you throw him out there. Whatever happens, happens. But if you have a quarterback that'll give you the best shot to beat Alabama, you take it.
I agree. I just wonder if that is his mindset. I mean,
I don't think he's going to tell us if Richardson will start. So it'll make Alabama's game planning a little bit harder. But I don't think anybody knows except for Mullen who's going to start next week.
I believe that they're going to try to play a very vanilla type of offense and run the ball a lot. And so that's why I think that you're getting what you're getting in his coach speak. As far as I think Richardson will play, but I think they're going to try to keep it vanilla because they're worried about getting ran out the building. Because if they start chucking around and it goes incomplete and you keep handing the ball to Alabama, and we know with their offensive, their sure will on their offensive line is going to be able to move the ball. And so that would be my concern. But we move on from that because this is a fantasy football and sports betting show. And what I want to do, so this is the first year that we've had a lot of these guys on. So bear with us as it might be a little clunky here, the first show. But Bobby, what I would like to do is for you to go in and tell me about your DFS, your lineup that you're running with today. We do a competition with all the guys, and we all put in our own. We call it the lineup of integrity, meaning before the show starts, we put these guys in, we don't change them, and that's who we're going to go against because we didn't want to get in the situation where like Joe hears Bob's lineup and goes, well, I like that lineup a little better, and starts finagling with it. So go through your lineup of integrity and explain to me why you're picking each guy. Don't just, motorboat through it. Just, let me know why you're picking each guy, because guys and gals out there listening want to know, why are you getting this guy at that value?
For quarterback, I went with Ryan Tannehill. I think for the value you got him at, or I got him at, I think that's fair. I think you'll have a pretty good game against the Cardinals secondary. We're starting Robert Alford and Marco Wilson as our two outside cornerbacks this week. And, of course, they're going up against A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. Not two favorable matchups for the Cardinals. And I think Tannehill is going to take advantage of that. I think Henry could have a big game, but I think the passing game is going to be a big spotlight in that game for the Titans offense. And then moving on to running backs, I got Raheem Mostert. He's going up against the Lions.
Who matched up a lot today.
Yeah.
I've benched guys that I drafted much higher in like year-long leagues just to put him in, and I hope it pays off. But go ahead.
Yeah, the Lions, they have one of the worst run defenses in this league, or in this league this year. Sorry. And I think Raheem Mostert, when he's healthy, he's one of the biggest threats in fantasy. And week one, for what we know, he's healthy, and hopefully he remains that way the whole game. But I anticipate him having a pretty big game. My other running back is Mike Davis. I think the value I got him at was solid. He was one of the guys I kind of threw in there.
What were you paying for all these guys? By the way, I should have mentioned that you wanted to tell us the salaries so everybody can kind of play along at home.
Let's see. Let me pull mine up real quick. I got Tannehill is 6,500. I think he's going to have one of the best weeks for quarterbacks this week. Mike Davis, I got him at 5,400. He's one of the guys that I kind of threw in towards the end when I was getting down to the last few guys. He was one of the most expensive guys left. Actually, in my lineup, I have $0 left. So I went all the way down.
You got to lose your picture, then don't worry about the price. We'll just come.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Cut that out.
Yeah, I can't see you when you're on there, so it looks like I'm just sitting here by myself. Okay.
Okay.
That's all right.
There we go. All right, am I back in?
It's always good to have a second device handy when you're doing. But
am I
anyways,
back in right now? Or? Okay, so my number one receiver is Stephon Diggs. He doesn't have the most favorable matchup against Pittsburgh, but the offense he's in an incredibly high passing offense. And even if he's going up against Pittsburgh's defense, that kind of dropped his value a little bit. That's why I went with him. But I still think he's going to have a great game. And I think he's going to be one of the top receivers in fantasy this year altogether.
That place is going to be rocking, by the way. It's the first game that they've hosted with fans in the stands in 21 months.
Mm-hmm. My next receiver is A.J. Brown. Again, another Titans player. I think he's going to have a big game against the Cardinals secondary. A.J. Brown's more of a big play threat than Julio is, and I think the Titans are going to take advantage of that this week against the matchups they have. I think A.J. Brown will have himself a big game. My last receiver is Jacoby Myers, the Patriots receiver. I got him for pretty good value. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but with the number I got him at, I'm really happy with that. I think he's going to have a solid week. He's going to be the number one wide receiver for the Patriots, and although he's going up against a pretty unfavorable matchup in Xavier Howard, with the guys that were on the board for that price, I was very happy getting them there. So, and then my tight end, I got Kyle Pitts. He's going up against Philadelphia, who was 27th against tight ends last year. He was about 7 or 8, I think, amongst where the prices were with tight ends. So I think I got him at a solid price. I like his matchup a lot this week, and I think he's going to have a solid game. And then my flex, I have – let me pull it up real quick. For my flex, I have Jerry Jeudy. He was 4,800. It wasn't my favorite option, but with the amount of money I had left, that's who I went with. I think he'll have a solid game. My only concern with him is how stacked the Broncos receiving core is, having Sutton as well, and then possibly KJ Hamler having a nice game. And then my defense, I went with Denver. I like their matchup a lot. They're playing against New York. Daniel Jones is not known for being the most safe with the ball. So I think Denver could get at Daniel Jones a lot today, and I think they'll put up quite a few points.
All right, so my lineup is I saved money at the quarterback position, and might have been a little goofy, but I went ahead and did it. I'm going with Sam Darnold at 5,000. I think he's going to have a hell of a game, and turning down that getting that kind of value at quarterback, what that ends up doing for me is that it means I can spend elsewhere. Now, I know most people like to do the stacks. I kind of went away from that, but I went a little bit into the stacks, but I didn't go with your obvious stacks, because normally if you're going to go with Darnold, you would have went with DJ Moore, right? Well, I stacked his secondary receiver in Robbie Anderson, because I believe Robbie Anderson, look, they're both ex-Jets, right? They both played together. They're playing the Jets. I'm expecting a big game. James Robinson, 6,400. I went with CMC, 9,500. CMC, last time I remember, he was the best out there. I'm not going to leave him untouched. And that also allowed me to get Jefferson at 7,700, Pittman at 4,100. I think he could have a big game, because if they fall behind to Seattle, Pittman is the number one guy in Indianapolis. The big question everyone has is, can Wentz get it to him? And then I went with your boy Pitts, University of Florida product, at 4,400. He's only 4,400, y'all. That's pretty damn low. I don't think you'll ever see him that low again the rest of the year, if he has the kind of year I think he's going to have. And then T. Higgins, I did go with the Bengal, against my better judgment. Brian. T. Higgins, 4,700. I think he could have a big game because that's another game. The Minnesota Cincinnati game, that should be high scoring. And they're going to be going back and forth. And they gave me 2,500 at home with the Buffalo Bills going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I get it. The Steelers are this and that, and they're the steel curtain and all that kind of stuff. I think the Bills have a chance to get some picks, maybe some sacks. We'll see how much even slower and fatter Ben Roethlisberger is, because my man, Bobby, what are you, 18, 19 at this point?
18.
Trust me when I say this, you will get slower and fatter. So enjoy it while you can, my friend.
I'll live it up.
All right. So that is our DFS. We're going to be doing more DFS when Sean and Steven join us at here in a little while. And we're going to be getting into, we got stardom sit-ems. If you got questions on stardom sit-ems, throw them at us on the YouTube page. I'm not looking at anything else right now. So throughout the week, I will take all your stardom sit-ems if you DM us on Facebook or on Twitter. But once we get the show started, I can't go back and forth to 7 different platforms looking for stardom sit-ems. So I've got a load of stardom sit-ems to start this week. They get much more complex as a year, because usually most people are like, I'm going to start the guys I drafted early. But there are a lot of questions out there, and a lot of good questions this week. Let me see here. Let's go ahead and go into the betting lines. Now, before we get into this, I do want to get your take. You're a big Cardinal fan. You got the Cardinal gear. You're going to the game today, right?
Correct.
Which, have fun. Congratulations on that, man. Getting to go to the Cardinals Titans. I hope you thank your, was it your parents that got you the tickets?
Yeah, me and my mom are going.
All right. Well, make sure to make it up to her on Mother's Day and whatnot. But
Absolutely.
when you get there and you're getting psyched up and you're pulling for your Cardinals in enemy territory, what do you realistically expect to happen today in that Cardinal Titans game? I do think it's going to be a light show, but I believe the Titans are going to pull away. What say you?
I hate to be all gloom and doom, but I do think we're going to lose. I don't like our defensive matchups against Titans offense. They have, in my opinion, the best running back in football. They have probably the best receiver duo in football, and we're really not built to stop that quite yet on defense. On one part, because I just don't think we have enough talent back there, and 2, because we have a lot of young guys back there. We have second-year Isaiah Simmons, for rookie Zaven Collins. We're going to have a rookie Marco Wilson starting back there at our number 2 corner. So I don't really like our matchups this week, but I think the offense will put up enough points to probably keep us in it. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be an entertaining one, but I do think the Titans are going to pull out a solid 7 to 10 point win.
Over-under's 53.5. Now, we'll do our picks at the end. So those are, but we will talk all the spreads. So our lock of the day, that kind of thing, that comes up towards the end. But we're talking about, what are you favoring right now? Right now, the line is Tennessee -3 and the over-under is 53.5. I'm feeling like Tennessee can cover that 3. And I normally I'm someone who likes to bang the under, because I feel like that the over-under is always overhyped. Your over number is always much higher than it should be, because fans love to see points, right? But I think 53.5 is really doable. What say you?
I think they're going to cover that. I think they're going to go over 53.5. And going back to the Titans 3-point spread, I think they'll cover that as well. So
28 and 24.5 are the team over and unders. Do you think they'll bang both of those? So in other words, the projected score is 28 to 24.5.
I can see the Cardinals falling right at 24. That's tough. I'm not going to say, I'm going to say I'll say they will. I think this will be a pretty high scoring game. Both of our teams don't have good secondaries or good cornerback rooms. And both have very good wide receiver rooms. So yeah, I think this will be a fairly high scoring game.
All right. As far as that game goes, I'd be a little hesitant on the team overs. I just feel like somehow, some way they're going to get to 53.5. I'm with you. I could see that score actually being 28-24, and then you get sniped by the final point. I don't feel as comfortable as Arizona's 24.5 as I do taking Tennessee's 28, because I think give me a score, because I've got it like 31-24, something like that.
I was actually about to say that. I think I made a prediction 31-23 as one of them, but I think it could very well go over that. So that's a tough one. I think I think the Titans or the Cardinals could get up into the high 20s, and I think the Titans could get up into the mid 30s.
All right, so what? 33-20.
I'm gonna say, I'll say 35-20-24.
Sorry, I normally have 35 pens in front of me, and this morning I have none. Okay. All right, moving on from that game, Jacksonville and Houston today. I think this is a very intriguing one because you've got the Jaguars and the Texans. Both defenses were pretty weak. Now, they have been famous for playing low-scoring games against each other. These are two different coaching staffs. So you got to kind of throw that out the window. The over-under is 46. Jacksonville is a 3-point favorite in Houston. That tells you something right there. When you're a 3-point favorite or a 3-point underdog at home to a bad Jacksonville Jaguar team, that tells you how bad you're being projected. What numbers do you like in this game?
I definitely think the Jaguars will cover that 3-point spread. I think they'll win pretty handily. But like you said, I think it could be a very low-scoring game. The Jaguars are still a very young team, and the Texans' offense, there's no reason to believe that they'll put too many points on the board. But, yeah, I do think they'll cover that 3-point spread and win pretty handily.
All right. Yeah, I like the over. I'm not sure about who's going to win, but I think 46 is pretty low in this game. I think they're both going to chuck it around. I do expect Brandon Cooks to have a good game. So if you're looking for a DFS play, I think Brandon Cooks could be in line for something there. Obviously, you like Brandon Cooks better when it was Deshaun Watson behind center, but he's still the best receiver they have out there. And I don't think they're going to have a running game to lean on, so they're going to have to throw it around. And I do believe that one of the most interesting plays today is what will DJ Chark do? He did not play in the preseason at all. Now, he has been practicing. The guy's 6'4" and can fly. If they can get the ball in his hands, DJ Chark could have a big day, but you're hesitant to play him, and he's available in a lot of leagues because DJ Chark had a terrible season last year. He's been banged up all off season, and so you're worried about that. But that's an interesting play to me. Moving on from that one, this is one of the games that I like the most, and now the line is climbing. The Washington football team is now a 2-point favorite at home against the LA Chargers. I like Washington to win this game. I liked it better when I took Washington plus 1.5 about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Okay. Now they're having to cover, but I think Washington finds a way to win. It's in Washington. Probably the best defense in football, if not their top 2, top 3. And the Chargers are going to be going east on very little sleep. A lot of people scoff at this, but I'm telling you, West Coast, East Coast is a thing. And when there's fans involved and whatnot, last year you didn't see it as predominant. But normally you see West Coast teams kind of lay an egg when at the very beginning of a game. So if nothing else, grab some early game props on this game. What do you like in this game? The over-under is 45. The line is 2.
I don't think they'll hit 45. But I do think I have actually the Chargers beating Washington. I think this will be
because you got a man crush on Herbert.
I kind of do. Yeah, he was incredible last year. I'm pretty high on him.
Running well. I've got a man crush on Chase Young, and he's gonna be running for his life today.
That is true, but I will say the Chargers, they did do a great job in improving that offensive line. Chase Young or Rashawn Slater, he was kind of Chase Young's kryptonite in college. So we might see if that, happens again this week. I think I think Slater might be the best tackle from this draft over Sewell. But no, I think the Chargers will etch out a pretty close win against Washington. I love Washington's defense. I think they have the best front seven in the league. But I do think the Chargers offense will have enough firepower to get them through, and I think they'll win by a pretty close margin.
Give me a score.
I'll say let's go 20-24 Chargers. Chargers.
I think we get a Washington team that will score. It's going to be tougher now that Derwin James is back. That defense should be better. I think you're going to get a fairly low scoring game, but I like them. And that's why I'm worried about the over in this one. But I do like Washington to win the game, something like a 23-14 type of thing. So I'm a little hesitant to take the over. I don't feel that comfortable in taking the under because it's such a low number. But give me the Washington football team is since very early in the summer. This has been one of my favorite plays. It's the same thing as I had been talking about it all summer long. The money line with Oregon, and Oregon ends up clearing with us. We played the money line on DraftKings when we were up in Tennessee, so we're pretty happy about that outcome yesterday. It was like a plus 450, I think, on the money line, something like that. So do the math. But I really like this game. I think Washington's and I'm excited to see what Fitzmagic can do in a new environment where he's not looking over his shoulder. Okay. Philadelphia, Atlanta. This should be a shootout, but the over-under is 48.5. Atlanta's a 3.5 point favorite. What say you? What do you like? What do you don't like?
I got Atlanta winning this game. I think it'll be another fairly close matchup this week. I don't think either team is terribly good, to be quite honest. I haven't seen enough of Jalen Hurts to really trust that he's that great of a quarterback. I think he definitely can be, but I haven't seen enough to fully believe it yet. I like the Falcons passing attack, even as old as Matt Ryan is getting. He's thrown to Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley, and he has Mike Davis behind him in the backfield. So I think Atlanta. Sorry, I think Atlanta will win this game.
And you like the projected score is like 27-23 ish. Does that sound about right to you?
I think it'll be a little bit less points than that.
Really?
I'll say 23-20 Falcons win.
I'm leaning on the over on this for a lot of reasons, but one of the things is it's in a dome and the defenses suck, right? So when you put that together, I'm interested to see what Devontae Smith does out there. Can they get the ball in space to him? And then, of course, what's Ridley going to do? What's Davis going to do? I've got a lot of shares of Davis, so I'm really going to be locked into this game. I really wish I had the ability to do the Sunday NFL ticket, but I don't have that device. Do you have the NFL ticket?
I do, yeah, and it's a blessing. I love it. I think you can watch like 4 games at once. It's awesome.
Gotcha. I got to get a hold of someone who's in college to use their information to be able to sign up for the Sunday NFL ticket.
Yeah, it's significantly cheaper if you're a college student. I'll tell you that.
Well,
it's like a third of the price.
Well, and you're allowed to not. You don't have to have the actual satellite. You can stream it. So if you know anyone who's interested in that, I will pay their way, and they can use it and I can use it. So just throw that out there to any of your buddies. If they're interested in that, I will buy it and they'll be able to use it. Okay. Let me see here. The next game, Seattle, Indianapolis. Joey and Tones Areola, they're normally going to be with us on Sunday mornings, but they're headed to that game. So first game of the season and the whole damn operation's falling apart. They're going to the game. You're going to the game. So we're going to start doing live remotes from stadiums, but
it'll be fun.
That game to me, I think that over under is a little high. It's 48.5 with the Colts offense. Is going to be sluggish. I think Seattle will be sluggish because the game's going to kick off at like 10 a.m. local time in Seattle. That over-under to me seems a little high. I know these are offenses that are capable, but I also think their defenses are good enough to keep the score low. What do you like in this game? By the way, Seattle's a 3-point favorite, which I find that strange to be on the road against I don't think Indianapolis is going to be terrible. I think they're going to be a decent NFL football team. To be a home dog to start the year off, I would have a hard time giving up the 3 points to Seattle with Seattle. Excuse me.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one. I think Seattle's
You
gonna
got a
cover.
man crush on Russell Wilson. I'm already starting to see the
I
pattern.
can't say I do with him. I try not to root for Russell Wilson too much.
Really?
Believe me. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, he has broken my heart too many times.
Division thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
He's broken my heart too many times.
I love Russell Wilson. I love watching him play, man. I love the fact that he actually knows how to slide, other than like all the other clunky quarterbacks who never played baseball, and they're like tripping over their own feet.
No, Russell Wilson's very fun to watch. Yeah, but he does hurt me sometimes. I won't lie. But yeah, I think the Seahawks will cover that spread. I don't think they'll quite hit the point total. I think they'll win by about 7 to 10 points. I think they'll win, or we'll finish in that range.
We got a fantasy question here. Should I trade away Josh Jacobs and Judy for Kyler Murray? I have Henry, Montgomery, Diggs, Mooney, Devontae Smith, and I have Stafford for quarterback. So you've got Stafford at quarterback, and you're going to get Jacobs. Wait a minute. Should I trade away Josh Jacobs and Jared Judy for Kyler Murray? I don't know if I would do that. You got Henry, you got Montgomery. You know those guys are going to be automatic starts in most leagues. I know you're probably worried a little bit today because of the matchup that Montgomery has, but throughout the season, I think he'll be fine. And then at wide receiver, you've got Diggs, Mooney, and Devontae Smith. I love Diggs, but I don't know if I trust Mooney quite yet. Not until Fields comes into the fray. And then Devontae Smith, we don't know what we're going to get from him yet. Would you make that trade? I know you're a big Kyler Murray fan, so you're probably, but what I'm looking at is, why do I need Kyler Murray if I have Matthew Stafford? Because Stafford ought to have a hell of a year.
I wouldn't do that offer necessarily. I would, if this is an offer coming towards you, I'd counter it. I would try and send Stafford and Josh Jacobs for Kyler Murray. It sounds like you already got a good enough running back core with Henry. Who was it? It was Henry, Montgomery.
Yeah, but I'm thinking that the guy wants Judy because Judy's the best player on that list. Right?
Yeah. That's why I'm iffy on giving it up, because if you're going to be in a situation where you have to start Darnell,
I don't like giving.
it wouldn't be worth it.
I don't like giving up Judy, because if those are your receivers, you have no other receivers, then your flex is probably week in and week out going to be like Mooney. And that's unless you have something else that we're not seeing. I don't want that, because why do you need 2 elite quarterbacks? I would roll with, unless he says he has Josh Allen as quarterback. So he's probably wanting to give up. If you know what he's really wanting in that deal. So in other words, here's my take on it. That guy just wants to get rid of Kyler Murray for something. Because he's like, I'm going to start Josh Allen every week. What the hell do I want with him? I think you can get more out of him. If I saw his roster, I'd be able to give you a better idea. But if I'm going to give up Jacobs and Judy, then he's going to give me Kyler Murray and something I can start every week. He says, I have William Murray because of the Gus situation. But the point is, if you're going to give up Jacobs and Judy for Murray, I would want somebody that he says, and Mike Davis. Now, I don't know if you have Mike Davis, then you're set, because Mike Davis would be your flex. So you'd be starting Henry and Montgomery every single day. Right. And then you would have Mike Davis as your flex. And then maybe see, my thing is giving up 2 guys that you can move in and out, Jacobs and Judy, for Kyler Murray, who I don't think is going to have a much better year, if he's going to have a much better year than what Stafford's going to, because I think Stafford's going to ball. That would be my concern on it. If you're going to make the trade, I'll say this. See if you can get Kyler Murray and something that you can play on a regular basis, even if it's not someone that everyone's big on right now. See if you can get something that can give you some depth, another receiver, another running back with maybe a high ceiling. Because look, he's gonna have to drop someone anyways. So I would want just one more player, and then maybe you pull the trigger, and then when Matthew Stafford goes bazonkers tonight, see if you can trade Matthew Stafford to somebody for some depth. So that would be my best advice, is see what you can get for him. All right. Going back to the picks, we've got Minnesota versus the Bengals. The Vikings are a 3-point favorite. The over-under is 47. What say you?
I would happily take the Vikings.
Hold on one second. He says he also offered Sony Michel. Sony Michel and Kyler Murray for Judy and Jacobs, and you've got all of that.
No.
If you're
Sony Michel's not moving me.
If you're gonna do it, see if someone in your league is going to need Matt Stafford. That would be my thing. Now,
or I'd see if he would take it and just counter and go, or take the counter with Jacobs and Stafford. I think I would do that for Kyler Murray, just because I'm not too high on Jacobs this year, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I don't think he would just give Jacobs for Murray.
Well, Jacobs and Stafford. See if he can get.
What does he want Stafford for? He's already got Josh Allen.
Backup, maybe.
So
if Allen goes down, you know.
I mean, backup.
I mean, if he's got Kyler Murray and Allen, I mean, he's already in a pretty strange situation to begin with. So.
I would if he's offering Sony Michel, he might offer something better. All right, moving on. We go to the Minnesota 3-point favorite at Cincinnati, and the over-under is 47. I think this clears 47. Hell, it might clear 47 at halftime. This should be a light show. What say you?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a big fan of the Bengals offense. I don't really trust Burrow quite yet. But I think the Vikings are going to have a pretty solid game. I think they're going to definitely hit that 3-point spread easily. I think they'll clear that. I don't think the Bengals are very good at all this year. I think
they'll score, and I don't think the Vikings defense is very good. I think
and they have Anthony Barr out
better than last year. I'm sorry, do what?
They have Anthony Barr out as well.
Correct. Right. So I really think that this ought to be a really high scoring game. I like a lot of players in this from a fantasy standpoint. Man, I'll tell you what, the over is what I like the most in this. I do believe that Minnesota will cover the spread, but I like the over more than I like that. Next game on the docket. See, we covered. Oh, Jets Panthers 3.5, 45 is the total. Doesn't that seem a little low to you?
It does by a bit. I think, I don't know, the quarterback show. I mean, we got one quarterback who's a rookie who hasn't obviously taken any NFL snaps. Then we got the Sam Darnold, who, although he's in a new offense without Adam Gase, it's just I don't know how much I trust him quite yet. But he is going to be thrown to two great receivers in Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore. And then you'll have Zach Wilson throwing to Corey Davis.
By the name of MC is going to be freaking lighting it on fire.
Yeah, he'll be back there too. I think he might have a decent game.
Zach Wilson's going to be chucking it all over the field too, because he's got Corey Davis. He's got, I don't know what the backfield is going to look like, but he's got Carter. He's got Coleman. He's got other pieces on the offense that I mean, I think what's the Jets over under 20.5? I think they could score 24, 25 points. And I think the Panthers hit the 30s. I'm a little surprised that this is this low of a number.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you that the Jets will be slinging it. The question is, how good will Zach Wilson do slinging the ball? That's really the big question.
He is going to be the guy that everyone's going to go, damn, the Jaguars should have drafted that guy.
Really?
I've been watching this guy. I watch all of the Jets preseason games. This guy, as good as Trevor Lawrence is, I think he's going to be a little better.
You think he's going to be the best in the class or not?
In the short term, probably. Long term, my bet is still on Justin Fields. The reason why I say this is Trevor Lawrence, when he gets flustered, he does not respond well. Zach Wilson throws really well on the run. I mean, to the point where some of the throws, you would think that was Tom Brady standing still in the pocket, right? I saw some throws that he made where he is on the run and he is just chucking it all over the place. He's also got a pretty decent receiving core too. So I think this score is going to be high scoring. I do think the Panthers will win because they just have a better overall team. But this game should be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think this will be a good game to tune into. And I think it'll be high scoring as well. Just really the only question mark is how good will Zach Wilson perform. I mean, based on his preseason, it's fair to assume that he'll have a good game, but you never know.
And I'll be honest with you, watching all the Jaguar games, I just wasn't that impressed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really got to do with the fact that their offensive line is just so bad.
Yeah, very bad.
So freaking bad. It's almost embarrassing. I mean, why in the world they put the franchise tag on Cam, I'll never understand in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Roberts is a nice guy. I've met the guy. He's not a franchise tag type of tackle. He should have rolled the dice in free agency. All right, next game up on the docket as we're getting closer and closer to first of all, want to get into this real quick. What are your unexpected performances for fantasy football week 1?
I got a couple guys, and I'm not saying that they're going to have 30-point games by any means, but for the value that they're at.
No, but unexpected. When we say unexpected performances, y'all, what we're talking about is the guy's going to do a little better than everyone's. People are going to be talking about the water cooler on Monday. Like, damn it, why did I draft so and so? What you got?
There's a couple guys. Jets running back. He's kind of gone under the radar. He took over as the number 1 running back towards the end of last year, and that's Ty Johnson. I think he'll have a solid game. He's at 4,400 on DraftKings. I think he'll
give me 1 second. We got another question. Who should I start at my running backs in PPR and flex? It's a full PPR. He has Gibson, he has Carson, he has Montgomery, Ayuk, and Debo. So he has so we're talking about picking 3 of those 5. Obviously, 2 of them have to be running backs. I think you have to start Gibson. That's a given.
Yep.
You got to start Carson. The only thing that ever slows down Carson is injuries, and it's week 1. He's not injured. Mm-hmm. It's a full point PPR. I don't think David Montgomery's going to have a very good week 1. I've got David Montgomery in a lot of leagues. David Montgomery's sitting on my bench in a lot of leagues.
The only thing that worries about him this week is the Rams defense.
That's what I'm saying. He's playing because you always have to be worried about the opponent. They're going to get behind. They got the red rocket throwing interceptions. You know, I don't like anything about the Bears this week. Mm-hmm. If it's me, I'm going Gibson and Carson, and my full point PPR flex is Ayuk.
That's solid.
That's what I mean. I feel like you got to go Ayuk because Debo Samuel, they will try to get him involved in it, but where would you go with this? Because I like Gibson, Carson, and Ayuk as my PPR. Would you go Montgomery? Would you go? Because I think it's a given that you go Gibson and Carson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was kind of. I mean, if we're talking any other week, I think I'd probably take Montgomery over Carson. But given the fact that he is going up against the Rams defense, I don't think that's a very favorable matchup for anybody on the Bears offense. So I'll go Gibson and Carson as well, and then Ayuk and Montgomery is honestly the bigger toss-up between. Opposed to those 2. That's a lot tougher. Because I do like Ayuk a lot.
It's a full point PPR.
Mm-hmm. I do like Ayuk a lot. And I do like.
They're playing the Lions.
Yep, I was about to say that. The only reason I would pick Ayuk over Montgomery this week specifically is because of his matchup. Ayuk, and honestly, everybody on the 49ers offense should just light it up.
Who do I draft? We're talking about who do we go today?
Yeah, I'm going. So I'm in agreement with you. I'm going to go Gibson, Carson, and Ayuk.
Okay, so we move on, and this kind of plays back into that. San Francisco, Detroit. San Francisco's a 9-point favorite at Detroit. I hate that line. I think Detroit's going to cover. I think it's going to be much closer because Detroit is going to slow that game down a little bit. But the over-under is 46. I really like that over. What say you?
I'm not too sure that the Lions are going to put up enough points to really hit the over or to get it to the over on that line. And going back to what you said, I kind of hope that the Lions keep it as that close to the 49ers. That'd make me feel a little bit better about playing them. But I do think the 49ers are going to cover that spread. I think they'll win by about 10 to 14 points. But I don't think they'll hit the over. I don't trust the Lions offense enough to
You're
put up
thinking
enough
it's
points.
going to be like you're thinking it's going to be like a 35-10 type of game. Because
I think that would cover, right? That would push them over.
No, that'd be 45s.
That'd be 45.
Over unders 46.
I'm thinking closer, like 31-10, 31-7, something like that. Nothing pretty. It's not going to be a fun game, truthfully. If I had to bet,
you just normally don't see those types of scores in the NFL. And week one, they have weeks and weeks to prepare. I would take the Lions if I was doing anything. I would take the Lions +9 in this one because the big lines in the NFL. If you look at the statistics, almost every game in the NFL comes down to one possession. Here we go. In a full PPR, do I play Eckler or Carson in a full point PPR? They're saying this morning that Eckler is a go.
Mm-hmm.
But he is playing against the Washington football team. I'll let you answer this first, and then I'll give you my take. What say you? Do you Eckler or do you Carson?
Look, I hate saying Eckler right now because I have him as one of my guys that I think might have a cold week, meaning not good, because he's going up against Washington. But with how high I assume you drafted Eckler, I just think you got to go with him this week. I think you got to put some faith in him. I think he'll have a solid game. Nothing up to what he's expected to do because of the defense he's playing. But I see him having a better week than Chris Carson.
Assuming Eckler's a full go, you drafted him in the first round, maybe early second round, mid second round, late second round at the worst. I think you got to stand on it. I think you got to say, look, this is my guy. Chris Carson does have a nice upside in Indianapolis, but that's a pretty darn good defense in its own right. I think it's underrated. So I think I would go ahead and go with you can't even worry about injuries in week one, right? I see Brian chime in with injury concerns. You can't worry about injury concerns in week one. Eckler's saying he's fine. They're saying he's a full go. I think they were just being very cautious with him the preseason. Eckler could be in a Alvin Kamara kind of role. Go with Eckler because if he balls out, you're never going to be able to forgive yourself. Mm-hmm. You can now. I would love to know who your flex is because I feel like Carson would be a hell of a flex, but maybe you don't have a good flex. But I think you got to, and it's a full point PPR. Carson catches out of the backfield, but Eckler catches a lot out of the backfield.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the big reason why I like Eckler.
All right. Unexpected performances. Rattle them off to me real quick.
Ty Johnson, running back for the Jets. He kind of took over as the main guy last year. I think he'll have a solid role in that offense this week. He's at 4,400 on DraftKings, so I think he'll do good. And then my second one, I have Emmanuel Sanders. He's only 4,100.
Nice.
The last time he was in a pass-heavy offense, well, I guess there were some games where it wasn't too pass-heavy, but the 49ers back in 2019, he had a very solid role when he was traded to them. I think he'll replicate that. I think he had a couple down years with the Saints because of how conservative their offense was, but I think being with a team like the Bills, I think he'll have a solid game. He's
going to be a market improvement of what Cole Beasley has been for them. And if it's in a full point PPR, I love that play.
Yeah.
My unexpected performances today, guys, you're going to be like, man, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. Russell Gage, Atlanta Falcons. I expect that to be a high scoring game. And to that point, on the other side, Devontae Smith. A lot of people are leaving him on his bench. I say you go with it. I think it's going to be a high-scoring ball game, and Devontae Smith is going to do Devontae Smith-type things on that turf in Atlanta, which I'm pretty sure he's pretty familiar with that stadium. SEC championship games. All right. What are your bold predictions?
So my guys that I think are going to have big weeks, I got A.J. Brown. I think he'll have it's kind of easy for me to say that because I have him in my lineup, but the matchup he has, I think he'll light it up against the Cardinals. Next, I have Raheem Mostert, as I mentioned earlier, going up against the Lions. Probably one of the most favorable matchups.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Hedrickson wants to know, Allen Robinson or DJ Chark? I know the question is kind of silly and cute, but the Rams D is scary, but you got to go with Allen Robinson. The guy's one of the top 8, top 10 wide receivers in all the NFL, DJ Chark. We don't know what his game plan is going to be. For someone who sits here in Jacksonville and follows the Jaguars, they've talked more about Marvin Jones Jr. than they have talked about DJ Chark. So I think you got to go Allen Robinson. Do you disagree?
I'm with you on that. I don't like Allen Robinson particularly this week because of his matchup against Jalen Ramsey, but I think he'll have enough points off receptions.
At the same token, eventually he could be in line for a lot of garbage points.
Yeah, I think he'll have enough receptions and kind of cheap yards just to get.
Now I know you got to jump. I know you got to jump off here in a second, so let's rattle them off quick. Your bold predictions are who? Your cold predictions are who?
Kyle Pitts and Travis Kelce are my other 2 bold ones. I think Kelce, he's going up against a 29th ranked defense against tight ends last year. I think he'll have a great game. Pitts, 27th against Philadelphia. He'll also have a great game in my mind. Cold, I just mentioned about Allen Robinson against Jalen Ramsey. I think that's anybody going up against Ramsey. It's a pretty unfavorable matchup. Undoubtedly the best cornerback in football, and I think he'll continue that. Eckler against Washington. I think he'll still put up a solid amount of points, but I do think he'll have kind of a down week compared to how he'll play the rest of the year. I love Washington's defense, and I think they'll hold him up a little bit. And then Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. They're 2 tight ends. I'm pretty scared to draft in fantasy, and I didn't in any of my leagues because I think they're going to be splitting a lot of targets. Plus, they're going up against Miami, who's the 7th ranked defense against tight ends last year. So I don't think either of those guys are wise to start this week.
My bold predictions. First of all, I've got one other unexpected performance just because I think people are questioning it. Tyson Williams is going to get the lion's share of that load. I don't care what you saw in the news on who they signed, who they didn't sign, blah, 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 blah. Tyson Williams is the only one that knows the playbook. Tyson Williams will probably touch the ball 15 to 20 times. So if you've got him and you're questioning about something else, put him in your lineup. That Vegas defense is terrible. Bold predictions. Raheem Mostert, I think, is going to go off. And if he's like your backup running back, depending on your matchup, you might want to think about sliding him in there. Another bold prediction. Kareem Hunt is going to, because of gameplay, Kareem Hunt is going to outscore Nick Chubb today because of in a full point PPR, because they're going to constantly be chasing up and down the field. So I like Kareem Hunt, and I do like Brandon Ayuk. We talked about him a second ago. I really like Ayuk in this game against Detroit. My cold predictions: Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to have people are going to be surprised how many touches he doesn't get because Himes is healthy, right? Because they like to split these. Now, whether or not they activate him or not, they got Marlon Mack back as well. There's a lot of question marks on who the Colts are going to activate today, but I don't like Jonathan Taylor in this, not where you drafted him at. You drafted him in the top in the first round. Most people, you're going to be regretting that today, but don't panic. It's going to be like an Ezekiel Elliott thing. He had a bad day. If Taylor has a bad day today, this is a perfect time to swoon in for a trade. And then the other guy, cold prediction, is Josh Jacobs. We just talked about a second ago. That Baltimore defense, I don't like it at all. I think
Jacobs is kind of a cold prediction every week this year. Just because that offensive line, how bad it's gotten.
Right, but he's going to have some opportunities, but it won't be against Baltimore. I know you got to run. So what is your pick of the day against the
Chargers? I think they're going to beat Washington. I would take that line. I think, like I said, it'll be a very close game, but I think the Chargers are going to etch out a win, and I like that matchup.
Okay, so the Chargers +2. All right, and I will give mine in the next hour. We're coming up on the break. Sean and Steven are coming up here in a second. Bobby, I know you got to run, so I'm going to do a couple of things before we head to break, but enjoy the ball game, sir.
Thank you. Awesome. You have a good one.
Yes, sir. Looking at the lines real quick, as we continue here, waiting for the other two guys to join on. Couple other lines that I like today. All right, you've got the Kansas City Chiefs. They're a 6-point favorite against Cleveland. The over/under is 54.5. That's not what I'm looking at. What I'm looking at are the team totals in this one. And one of the team totals I like the best is Kansas City, only 30 points. I think that is going to be a very high-scoring ball game. The line scares me a little bit because Cleveland, I thought if things fell right, Cleveland upsets the Chiefs in the playoffs last year. I like Kansas City to clear that 30. And then with the Patriots and the Dolphins, New England -3. The money line is -175. I'm telling you right now, I am a big fan of taking the Patriots on the -3 because I believe the Patriots defense is going to be back. Remember, they had a lot of guys, and I mean a lot of guys that opted out because of COVID last year. Okay. So when you have that many guys opting out because of COVID, what do they got? Like 6 starters coming back? I mean, this is almost like a college football team that just entered the transfer portal and cleaned up like a champ. So I like the Patriots a lot this year in general, but I really like them today to beat the Dolphins. The Dolphins are going to send Tua Tagovailoa in there. I don't believe that they're going to have a very good year, to be honest with you. We're going to go ahead and take that quick break. When we come back, Sean O'Toole is with us. We should have a lot of fun here on the Armchair Quarterbacks. So keep it locked in here. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Cool. Wizard versus nerd. I'll strike you down with my spell. No, science is the answer.
Take me out to the ball game.
Get caught up with the big stories from around the world in sports in just a few minutes. It's Take Me Out to the Ball Game today, weekdays. Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube. Baseball, football, basketball, whatever's trending in the world of sports, it's on Take Me Out to the Ball Game today in just a few minutes. It drops weekdays. Take Me Out to the Ball Game today on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel.
Take me out to the ball game.
ACC football covered like no other here on the Armchair Quarterbacks.
And backpedaling, Lawrence flips it open, wide open. Justin Ross off and running. The Alabama native wins the foot race. And Clemson strengthens its grip on this championship game.
Wow, gut punch by Clemson right there.
Akers breaks free. Cam Akers in the clear. Foot race. And they finally spin him down at the 5. The electric play the nose needed.
He wants another deep shot. Drops it in. Pitch it to Cersei. Cersei launches into the end zone. And the Yellow Jackets score again.
Armchair Quarterback Radio is ACC country. Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Ariola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live. Or catch the instant replay. Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. We dive into the world of fantasy football year-long in your DFS payouts. Your only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy in your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Sundays, all NFL season long.
Zitchog.
I'm not playing your stupid game.
All right, welcome back here into the Handicappers here on YouTube Live. Catch us here every Sunday, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern. And joining us is Mr. Sean O'Toole. Sean, hit us with the MASH report. These are the guys that are injured and guys that may or may not play. What you got, Sean? You have muted yourself. All right, there you go. What you got?
There you go. Thanks for unmuting me. Let me give you the MASH unit really quick. First off, at quarterback, not a whole lot to report here. The only outage that we have is Deshaun Watson. Obviously, if you drafted Deshaun Watson, you got some bigger problems. I can't help you with your fantasy lineup. That is not going to work for you. He is definitely going to be out today and is going to be out for the foreseeable future. Running back Saquon Barkley and Austin Eckler are both scheduled to dress, but listed as questionable. If I've got shares of them, I'm not starting them. Just don't know what that target share is going to be like. Also, if you've got the Jets backfield in any way, shape, or form, LaMichael Perrine is looking to be questionable. Hopefully you're not in on that, but if you've got, Ty Johnson and whatever else going on, just keep that in mind. Odell Beckham is questionable for the season opener. He's been limited in practice all week. It seems like he's going to go, but I think they're going to keep him under 25 snaps from what's being reported out of there. So your Jarvis Landry stock's going to go up. Your Austin Hooper stock's going to go up. Anybody who's got Will Fuller shares, don't forget he's serving the last game of his suspension, so he's not going to be available today. Nelson Aguilar is listed as questionable. As of last report, he's scheduled to give it a go opposite Jacoby Myers out in New England. Most people, I haven't seen him drafted in a lot of places. If he goes, that might dilute your Jacoby Myers, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry stock a little bit. But if he doesn't go, there's really nobody you'd be looking at aside from Kendrick Bourne, who had a few, moments here or there. Jets wide receiver core is a total mess. Keelan Cole and Jamison Crowder both out today. Cole is questionable, but doesn't look like he's going to give it a go, which means you're going to see a lot of Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims, and Braxton Berrios on the other side of Corey Davis. Josh Reynolds is listed as questionable for the Titans, which really isn't a big deal because they're going to line up A.J. Brown and Julio as the 1 and the 2, and the Firkser is basically nominally the third receiver in that offense. But if you're looking for some depth, that's going to put Chester Rogers and Nick Westbrook-Akeen in the starting lineup as the WR4. Darnell Mooney of the Bears is questionable for tonight's clash against the Rams. He did finish the week with a full practice on Friday, so he's expected to give it a go. I've seen a lot of chatter about him since you figure Ramsey is probably going to be on Allen Robinson most of the night. And if he's not, Jalen Johnson is, that's going to hurt things a little bit. Emmanuel Sanders is questionable for the Bills season opener against the Steelers. He is expected to give it a go as of last report. But again, keep an eye on that. He's, 34 years old. That could change at the drop of a hat. So if you've got shares of him, keep an eye on that. Traquan Smith of New Orleans also was put on injured reserve, knocking him out for the first 3 games of the season. Michael Thomas is also still on the PUP list. So your Marquez Callaway, Lil Jordan Humphrey, Deontay Harris, and Adam Troutman. I forget who won the job behind Troutman because he got hurt. Again, just a total mess in the receiving core in New Orleans. That actually bumps up Kamara's value, in my opinion, because I think he's going to see a lot of targets from Jameis. Curtis Samuel was put on injured reserve on Friday. I know he was a hot draft. I've got a couple shares of him. If you're looking to get a replacement in the Washington football team receiving core, the biggest workload is looking like it's going to go to De'Ami Brown, the rookie out of North Carolina. I still think McLaurin and Logan Thomas are the best bets in that receiving core. And then only one tight end injury of note to mention. McGee's favorite tight end of all time to have in fantasy, Mr. Evan Ingram, will not play in today's season opening battle, which means we're going to see veteran Kyle Rudolph
on your team, man. Go ahead and fold up shop right now.
Yeah, exactly. I've never seen more people want to drive to someone's residence and physically harm someone for fantasy reasons than Evan Ingram. So he's out today. So you ain't got to worry about it. That's the whole MASH report. So excited for football to be back. It was just great to see fans in the stands yesterday in college football. It's going to be great to see it today in the NFL.
All right, let's go ahead and roll into the unexpected performances today. I've already given mine in the first hour. Steven, what you got on your unexpected performances today?
I'm not going to say it's too unexpected, but it's going to be a little bit of a surprise, like from who it's coming from. James Robinson today is going to be the top performing running back, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Okay. Sean, what is your unexpected performance today?
I don't know how unexpected this is, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a deeper one. I'm going to go Robert Tonyan over 1 touchdown today for the Green Bay Packers. The New Orleans Saints struggled mightily against tight ends last year. They didn't really do anything to address the linebacking core in the offseason, and they actually lost depth in the defensive line when they let Trey Hendrickson go to Cincinnati. So I think Rodgers is going to have his pick of the litter. New Orleans usually doesn't get beat deep as much. They play a lot of 2 high safety looks in Dennis Allen's defense, but they have been gashed over the middle of the field, especially with tight ends. I look for a big day from Tonyan, and right now, he's not in the top echelon of tight ends. Kittle and Kelsey are well over $6,000. He's like 4,200. So give me a lot of Tonyan stock today.
Okay. And we are going now. Look, if you have any stardom sit-ems, throw them at me, put them on the YouTube. If you want stardom sit-ems throughout the week, you want already loaded in our queue, make sure to DM us throughout the week. You can do it on our Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at armchairqb_YT for YouTube. And then we're also on Facebook. So you can find us Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube. Find that on Facebook. Find that page on Facebook. You can DM us. So I've got a bunch that we're going to get into here in a minute. Bold predictions and cold predictions. Steven, I'll start with you. What are your bold predictions?
My bold prediction today, we got a nice revenge matchup. Sam Darnold, Robbie Anderson at home facing their former team, the New York Jets. I think Darnold is going to come out today looking to prove a point. He's going to throw 4 touchdowns.
Okay. Cold prediction?
Cold prediction, I think Derrick Henry's not going to be able to do much today. I think that more is in this is going to be a passing game.
Forever hating on
Tyler's going to put
Henry.
up points, and they're going to have Tannehill's going to have to throw, and they're not going to be giving Henry 25, 30 carries. It's going to be a 15 carry day for him.
I would say this is a bold prediction, but this is everybody knows this. Tua is the one that's going to be struggling today. Sean, what say you? Bold predictions, cold predictions.
My bold prediction is I actually think Trevor Lawrence is going to finish as a top 7 fantasy quarterback today. I couldn't like this more. I've gone back and forth on that game. I could be totally wrong, and it's going to be the ugliest pile of garbage we've ever seen in 100 years. But I actually think the latter is more likely. I think both those defenses are so bad, it's going to be up and down the field. I mean, I'm seeing 38-34 in my dreams. And I think Lawrence is going to be a lot of that. I think they're going to run the RPO stuff with him. He's going to have some rushing yards. I'm very, very big on Lawrence's output today compared to his value. A cold take is don't put too much in this 49ers-Lions game. And I know I'm saying that as a Lions fan. I actually think it's going to be a really boring, low-scoring ground war. I do think the Niners are going to win because I think they're clearly the better team. But if you're looking for a lot of fantasy output in that game, unless you're doubling down on Mostert and Sermon, I don't think you're going to get much. I think Dan Campbell and Anthony Lynn are going to be very conventional and try to not hand the Niners a short field and try and dull down the game. I mean, that one screams of 17-7 to me.
I already gave mine, but real quick, I'll throw them at y'all again. Cold predictions: Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs. Bold prediction: Raheem Mostert goes off. Kareem Hunt outscores Nick Chubb in a shootout, and Brandon Ayuk goes off. My unexpected performances are Gage of Atlanta and Tyson Williams, because some people are questioning what he's going to get. He's going to get fed all week long. And I would say my unexpected performance, originally I had it written down as Tannehill, but I think a lot of people are starting to jump on that train now. So I'll leave that one alone. All right, let's go ahead and get into our DFS and then we'll roll into everything else. We'll go ahead and build our team on the DFS. But before we do that, our lineups of integrity, I've already given mine earlier. Sean, I'll start with you, and then we'll go to Steven. What you got?
Yeah, I'm pulling mine up right now. Sorry, DraftKings was taking a minute to load for whatever reason. Okay, at quarterback, I have got Matt Ryan, playing against the Eagles' very porous defense. They finished as the 26th ranked defense in DVOA last year and the 29th ranked defense against the pass. I think he's going to be throwing the ball on every single down. You look at what Arthur Smith did with the Titans last year. I don't think Mike Davis is Derrick Henry. I think they'll use him sparingly. And I think Ryan's going to be in a lot of shotgun, and he's going to be chucking the ball all over the place. Give me as many shares of that game as you possibly can. That's my quarterback. At running back, I've got Aaron Jones.
Quarterback.
That's my quarterback. And at running back, I've got Miles Sanders for the aforementioned reasons. I just think that game's going to be the little handheld football game. It's just going to be up and down the field nonstop. It's going to be Tecmo Bowl. I've got Aaron Jones at New Orleans. Again, I've already spoken about New Orleans defense. I think that game's a horrible mismatch for New Orleans. And even though I do like Jameis in the long term, I don't like him today because I think they might be down 21-0, before the ink is dry on the paperwork in the press box. Wide receiver, I've got Justin Jefferson at Cincinnati. I can't be more clear about this. I think Cincinnati stinks. That game's one of the biggest mismatches of the day. I can't put enough on Minnesota today. I can't put enough money on them to cover because I think Cincinnati is just awful. Deebo Samuel at Detroit. I know I'm a little bit contradicting myself, but I do think he's going to see a lot of those bubble screens, a lot of that stuff that Shanahan likes to do. And if you're, in a PPR or in a DraftKings league, he could break one for 90 yards at any given point in time. And then back to the Jacksonville-Houston game, I got Brandon Cooks. He is the number one receiver in that offense. I think if you wanted to take a deeper look, you could take a look at Jordan Akins. He was pretty good in limited work last year. Actually, I think Tyrod Taylor is competent. I don't think he's going to go out there and stink the joint up as long as nobody punctures his lung with a Ritalin shot again. I actually think he'll be fine as a quarterback, and I really like Cooks a lot. Jacksonville, a lot's been made, and I know McGee knows it better than I do, as does Troche, about that secondary and the problems that they've had, and I don't see how they're going to be any better under Urban Meyer and Charlie Strong and whoever else he's brought in from all the other colleges he's been to. Tight end, I've got Anthony Ferkser. I mentioned him a minute ago, especially with Josh Reynolds being out. I think A.J. Brown's going to see some double teams. I think the middle of that field is going to be wide open against Arizona. And outside of Budda Baker, they really don't have it in the middle. I know a lot of people like Xavier Collins as Rookie of the Year, and they're still kind of waiting to see with the kid from Clemson that they drafted last year to see if he's going to be a difference maker in the long term. But I don't like it. I think Ferkser's up for a big day. And in my flex, I've got Jacoby Myers. He is the number one target in that offense, in my opinion. Max seemed to really favor him in the series when they were on the field together. And as my defense, I went around and around on this one. Trosh and I have a long text thread, but I'm going to take the Broncos in New York against the Giants. I'm very concerned about that game. I don't love having any shares of it because they're doing a big 9/11 thing before the game. That crowd is going to be up, up, up. But at the end of the day, then they're going to hike the ball to Daniel Jones.
What's the price on their defense, Sean? That's what people care about.
3,300 on their defense, which is pretty affordable as far as defenses go.
All right, Steven, give us your DFS.
So, I'm going with my, this is the main lineup I'm going with in cash today. I may make one small adjustment, but this is my lineup for here. Starting with Jalen Hurts at quarterback, facing anytime you got a running quarterback in Atlanta, in that dome, facing that defense, I'm starting him any day. He's going for 6,400, which is a significant discount off of Kyler and Russell Wilson and Mahomes and just the top end. I love the value there. Running backs, I'm going with Kamara and Robinson. Kamara is going to have, like we touched about earlier, there's really no receiving core. There's no tight ends in New Orleans. Kamara is going to get all of the work today. 8,600 is $900 less than McCaffrey. Still cheaper than Henry and Dalvin Cook. I mean, I'm taking that and running to the bank. James Robinson, 6,400, facing the worst rushing defense from 2020. And I mean, when I say worst, I mean, it wasn't even close. Texans allowed 500 more rushing yards than any other team, 21 touchdowns, 5.4 yards per carry, all worst in the league. No one was even close. And then my receiving core, DeAndre Hopkins. I love the upside there against Tennessee. I think there's going to be a lot of points there. And I mean, we've seen the kind of volume he can get in that offense. I love the upside. T. Higgins at 4,700. I think he's going to be a reliable target for Burrow early on. I think he get a good day against that weak Minnesota secondary. And then Elijah Moore at 3,000, bare minimum. I know he's a rookie. I know he got a rookie quarterback, but They're going to be playing from behind against Carolina, and they really do not have much
You got
else
to swing for
outside
the fence, right? If you're going to load your lineup elsewhere, you got to try to find a steal somewhere, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, there are plenty of these $3,000 receivers that I've got sprinkled throughout my lineups. Rondale Moore is one of them. Marquez Callaway, Marvin Jones is 3,600.
Marvin Jones should be a very good play.
I've been going back and forth on him.
Sure.
But I love Marvin today. The biggest free square of week 1 is Kyle Pitts at tight end. He's 4,400. He's going to be used as a receiver. I mean, it's just you know what you're going to get out of him usage wise.
He's going to be like 7,800 in week 2.
That's my point. I mean, like you're never going to see him under 5,000, 6,000 ever again. Take the free square and spend up elsewhere.
Please stay healthy. Please stay healthy. Please stay healthy.
Yeah,
I got like 80% shares. I looked at my team's other kicker.
I know.
God,
it was all preseason. I'm not paying up Kyle Pitts. No way. Every single draft.
I didn't think I was trying to play him down because I really wanted him. I didn't want anyone drafted. I was like, man, people are drafting him way too damn fast. I was hoping I'd get him 6th, 7th round. I was like, no, you got to get him like 5th round if you're going to get him. So
yeah.
Is that it? What else do you got on your lineups so we can switch gears a little bit?
Sean already said enough on this guy. Brandon Cooks as my flex, and then Broncos defense. Sean said it all right there. Not going to spend too much more time on it.
Real quick, I'll just go over mine because I already did it in the first hour. I went Sam Darnold as my quarterback. Yeah, I'm swinging for the fences.
Mm-hmm.
James Robinson and CMC are my running backs. Robbie Anderson is my stack with Sam Darnold, not more because he's 5,700. So that allowed me to get Justin Jefferson. That allowed me to get Michael Pittman at 4,100. I do think he's going to have a big game in garbage time. And Pitts, 4,400. T. Higgins, 4,700. And the Buffalo Bills Mafia, they're back, baby. They're back at the stadium. Give me them for 2,500 against Fat Boy, Roethlisberger, Ben Cheeseburger, whatever you want to call him. All right. So, give us just the facts, ma'am. A couple of facts that these guys are going to throw at us every single week before we build our DFS lineup. Real quick, Sean, what are your just the facts, ma'am, today?
Just the facts is one I came across doing kind of some research. Every single season in week 1 since 2004, a team that has finished 5-11 or worse has beaten a team that has finished 11-5 or better. Yes, I know we have a 17-week regular season, but stay with me for a minute. Every single season. I remember one very vividly last year. I had a lot of money on the Colts to beat the Jaguars in week 1 in Jacksonville. That was the only game the Jaguars won last season. They beat the Colts. They covered. They were a 7.5-point dog. Couple of ones to look at that are very, very, very concerning to me. Although I don't think we're going to have anything that crazy this year. I really, really do wonder if the Bears are going to sneak attack the Rams tonight. I'm not brave enough to put any money on it because it is in Los Angeles, and I don't think the Bears offensive line is any good. But that's one that I like. The one that I really like, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, I really like the Raiders to take out the Ravens tomorrow night. The Ravens have the stink on them. Everybody is getting hurt on that team left and right. It's so bad that
Baltimore's not hurt.
No, Baltimore is hurt like crazy, is my point. Last night during the Michigan game, they're interviewing John Harbaugh talking about, hey, you want to borrow one of your brother's running backs from this team? Right. I mean, that's when Sean McDonough's making jokes about your injury situation during a Michigan-Washington game. He's got jokes. It's not great.
He makes it about Florida State. I'll poke him right in his freaking eye. How about that? Round 12-15 last night.
Look, the Las Vegas Raiders haven't had fans in that, and it is a beautiful stadium. Yet they're gonna have fans there tomorrow, and boy, oh boy, I'm worried about that. I'm putting a lot of action on the Raiders. I know that's tomorrow, but
bare minimum by 2023, Florida State and Miami have new head coaches. Bare minimum. Florida State maybe a little earlier, but when I saw Miami squeak by Appalachian State, by the way, I had that pick yesterday, but when I saw them squeak by Appalachian State, and then Florida State gives it that fluke Hail Mary at the end, I'm like, dude, these are not teams that are going to be leading the Hurricanes and the Seminoles into the next phase of
convo for another day. But Tony Pauline's talking about Deion Sanders as the next FSU coach this morning.
I mean, come on. Is he a coach?
Stop it.
You got to have a coach. That's the problem. They're not interviewing. They're just going, oh, well, you can walk and talk. We'll hire you. All right.
This isn't part of that conversation, but I do wonder if a college at some point is going to do something like that, like what's happened in the NBA, where you hire a more of a celebrity coach that played and let him just hire assistants.
You had the
do
showdown.
all the stuff that a coach would.
You had the showdown last night, and I know they're HBC schools, but it could be a thing in the future. Deion Sanders coached against Eddie George last night.
Yep.
And neither one of them had any coaching experience. And when Eddie asked Deion, he said, "You're not really a coach, you're a CEO." Bobby Bowden is literally now rolling over in his grave. Okay. All right. So what are your just effects, Steven, so we can roll through this?
Kind of reiterating my point from before. Texans are just absolutely abominable versus the rush. Like worse in every stat. Chiefs Browns, they have the highest game total. Like one of the things when you're building DFS lineups for tournaments, you want first thing you look at are the Vegas lines. Chiefs Browns right now, week 1, it is the highest week 1 total since 2015. So I'm going to have some decent exposure to that game. And like you talked about your Sam Darnold love, well, his tight end Dan Arnold at 2,600. His average depth of target is 12.5 yards, which is highest in the league for tight ends. And
hey, I don't mean to cut you off. In a deep as hell league, this man has Kendrick Bourne, Braxton Berrios, Philip Lindsay, or Tim Patrick. He's only got to pick one full PPR. I'll hit that again. Bourne, Berrios, Lindsay, or Tim Patrick. Sean, start with you.
I'm going with the first name, Bourne, because Aguilar looks unlikely to play, or he's going to be on 15 snaps or less. Bourne is going to be in the slot.
Steven, what's your pick?
I don't love the matchup for Bourne, but yeah, I mean he's the safest pick.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make it 3 because I don't have a strong opinion on this. Philip Lindsay probably has the biggest upside, but I don't know how much he's going to actually play. So
he was my number 2, but yeah, I just don't
in
know.
a week 1, what you're hoping is that Bourne breaks a long one. Is what you're hoping. All right, Steven, back to what you were saying, and then we'll move on.
Just last bit on that, Dan Arnold, tight end for the Panthers. His average at the target, 12.5 yards, is the most for tight ends in 2020. If he was a receiver, that would be on par with Tyreek Hill, Marvin Jones, and Adam Thielen. And he gets the Jets today, who have the 5th worst yards per target against tight ends in 2020. So look for that matchup today, especially with the Darnold love here.
Cool. All right, let's go ahead and start our DFS build. And the way we do this is one guy picks 2, the next guy picks 2, third guy picks 2, and then we go 1, 1, and 1. All right, let's go flying into this. Steven, I believe that you have first ups this week. If I have that wrong, y'all just correct me. I'm pretty sure it was Steven first ups. Steven, where are you going?
I'll get us started with the quarterback today. We've talked about him already. I can go tons of different ways with this stack. So we'll save that piece for last. Give me Sam Darnold for $5,000. Dave, I mean, the lineup you entered basically would have been mine if I would have used my Sam Darnold lineup. Okay, so what is your stack with that? I can go many different ways. You guys can fill in. One. Let's make it weird. Let's go Terrace Marshall. Wow. Okay. He's our saver. How much is he?
That is definitely weird.
How much is he?
I'm guessing 3,000.
You don't know what he is?
Actually, no. Let's give him Robbie Anderson.
Okay,
I like that better. Let's not get too weird.
I gotta find these as we're doing these, guys.
Robbie Anderson's in the 5,000s.
I do 98% of this. I need y'all just to get
Robbie Anderson 5,700.
5,700. There we go. I was like, I gotta keep an eye on this. Got to keep an eye on what people are saying and all this other junk. Okay, so Sean, we'll go with you. So we got Darnold and Anderson. At total, we've spent 10,700. We can average 5,600 a player, 39,300 left. What do you like?
Okay, I'm going to give you 2 really quick. I'm going to hit a defense and I'm going to hit a running back, and they're going to be from the same game. So for the defense, I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers at $4,200. I know they're at the top of the spending line on defenses, but I'm not believing in the Lions' ability to move the ball. Jared Goff's history against Kyle Shanahan is really bad. I don't have a lot of confidence that it's going to get better. when he's wearing my lovely Honolulu blue and gray. I'm just not seeing it today. And I'm going to give you Trey Sermon at 4,500, which is a bit of a value play at the running back spot. I think him and Mostert are going to split it 50-50. And throughout the course of the day, I actually think you'll see Sermon get more passing downs than people might think he would. He's actually a very competent pass catcher and was at Ohio State when he was used in that kind of a formation. And Shanahan's just going to break out all kinds of weird crap in this game. I mean, if they get up 2 or 3 touchdowns, it's going to be Trey Lance handing off to Trey Sermon. So he could get you a lot of garbage time yardage. 4,500 is a lot of value at the running back position that far down the board.
Okay, so I'm going to save us at the running back position and go with CMC. If we're going to stack, let's stack, baby. You know, maybe there's a swing pass, whatever. So CMC at 9,500. I know he's a high play, but I expect that game to be high scoring. And then Kyle Pitts, we talked about it before. I know Steven's in agreement. I would think Sean would be 4,400, just too. I know it's middle of the roads money wise, but it's too cheap considering what his ceiling could be. We might be terribly disappointed, but we might be going That's the end of the All right, Steven, what's your next play? We can still average y'all $5,500 a play even after those guys with 3 plays. We have 2 receivers and a flex left. Excuse me.
All right. I'm going to spend up a little bit on one of my receivers. Like on one of the receivers here, but it's still an incredible value. Terry McLaurin at 6,400. With everybody out, he's the number 1 receiver there. Fitzpatrick is going to be throwing the ball.
I like it.
And I mean, like McLaurin is a $8,000 receiver. Like 6,400, just like Pitts, you will never see him that cheap again. Just load up on Terry McLaurin all you can. I mean, even if then, I mean, like if you wanted to spend up a little bit more, go Keenan Allen in the same game. 6,900, you'll never see him that cheap.
So Sean, where would you go with a wide receiver or flex?
Give me a dollar amount. What do we have left to spend? Average
10,300 total for
10,300. Okay, so I'm going to want to save a little bit and give McGee an opportunity to hit the flex with something. McGee mentioned this play earlier. I really like this play, and him and Wentz apparently have a great rapport.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I do have a comment that I do want to read. This is directed at Steven. Fantasy question. Rocky Top says he's watching. He said, should I start Rocky Top's rotisserie roster or the Correa Vias rotisserie roster going into this final week? For y'all don't know what we're talking about, these two are going neck and neck down the stretch. They're going in
5x5 roto. Yeah,
I would say that we're going into the final third 3 wide, but it's really 2 wide. I'm back there just drafting off of them. So
yeah, you like we gained 5 points on you just this week.
Yeah, well, a lot of that had to do with the drinky Nashville. Totally wrecked my fantasy baseball season. Totally worth it though. All right, back to what y'all were saying. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just found that pretty damn funny.
No, you're good. So you mentioned this guy earlier. I know the offensive pass rank was low last year, but I actually like their upside a little bit more in play action, especially with Wentz under center. Michael Pittman at 4,100. And I'm going to leave the other 6,200 to McGee to pick the flex. But Michael Pittman is the number 1 receiver in that offense. They're going to run a lot of 3 tight end sets today because they do have some wide receiver injuries. Hilton's out. So you're going to see some more stuff over the middle to Mo Alley Cox and to Jack Doyle. But Pittman's their most reliable 10-yard out deep threat guy. And Wentz, look, for all his faults, when Wentz has time and he has a clean pocket, he throws a beautiful deep ball. I know you didn't see it a lot in Philly last year because he was under duress and just really looked like he couldn't get a hold of himself. But Pittman at 4,100, I'd be stunned if he doesn't have at least 7 for 100 and a touchdown today. And you can't beat that at that price.
Well, I like that because that leaves me with, I think, the obvious choice, Joe Mixon at 6,200 in our flex.
Love it.
Going
Love it.
Minnesota, even if they're behind, he's involved in the passing game. So
their run defense stinks too. Their run defense was bad last year, 25th, I think, in DVOA.
So we've got Darnold at 5,000, McCaffrey at 9,500, Anderson 5,700, McLaurin 64, Pittman 41, Pitts 44, Mixon 62, and the 49ers 4,200. Is there anything that we want to do? We want to mess around with it one way or the other. Seeing what would be in the flex around. I mean, there's a couple of things that I could do, but I don't want to take anyone's player out per se. But if you put Joe Mixon in the running back, your 4,500 flex. If you didn't want to go Sermon, which I'm not saying that's a bad play, but at 4,400, you also have Devontae Smith at that range. Williams of Detroit, but I don't buy that, especially against San Francisco this week. Do y'all just want to stick with Sermon? I'm gonna leave that up to y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Then that will be our team that will. I don't know. I'm interested in something. If we win, we'll all split it. But I don't know what the hell. Some kind of disclaimer popped up. I said, yeah, sure. Sure. Guys, breaking news. We can all retire. All right. So I think that's what we got through. We got the unexpected performances, the cold and bold predictions, and we got through our DFS, right? We're good to go on the start incentives. I haven't left anything off, have I?
Nope.
Okay. I was just making sure. I got like 9 pieces of paper in front of me. So got to get a little more organized, but that's what makes this fun. All right. Let's go ahead and get into Stardom Cinema. If y'all have a Stardom Cinema that you want to know about, throw it into the YouTube chat, because I can't keep all these other devices going. It's starting to make me go. All right, here we go. Ready? Stardom Cinema, and it's a list. Let me tell you, it's a list. Okay. I don't have time to call everyone's name out, so I do apologize for that. But there's so many of these nowadays. We don't have time to go, Billy from, Mount Juliet says, okay, you need 2. What?
We need to read them like Mike and the Mad Dog. John from Amherst, you're on.
Mike, I don't love the play, Mike. Mike, I don't love it.
Okay. You got to pick 2 of these, and this is a full point PPR. Okay. 2 of these. And they did not distinguish whether or not they were flexes, but I'm going to assume that one would be a running back and one would be a flex, or maybe one's a wide receiver, one's a flex. I figured one's a wide receiver, one's a flex, considering. So it's Tyson Williams, Russell Gage, Devontae Parker, and Levinska Shenault. Can only pick 2. What say you, Steven?
Give me Shenault and Tyson Williams.
Okay. Sean, what say you?
Shenault and Gage.
I like Tyson Williams, and I'm gonna roll the dice with Shenault, man. We don't know what he's gonna be, but I like his upside more than I do some of the other guys that I have mentioned. All right. Next one up on the docket is, let's see what we got going on here. We got Keenan Allen or Julio Jones.
Keenan Allen.
I'm gonna zag. I'm saying Julio. I love Keenan. I really don't like that game for the Chargers today. I'm very, very on the record as saying I think the WFT could be maybe the 3rd best team in the NFC.
I'm going to go with Julio because of basically I don't like the WFT. I like Keenan Allen long term a lot.
Like him a lot. Yep.
But man, that is a tough game. And
it is,
man. It's a thing, man.
It is a tough matchup, but they are like they got torched in the slot last year, and Keenan Allen is one of the, if not the best route runner in the league. Like he will get open, he will get short targets, he will get PPR.
He might be wide open, but Justin Herbert might be on his back flailing around like a turtle in a shell. That's my biggest concern there. All right, moving on from that, we've got OBJ versus Claypool. Sean,
you could have said OBJ versus Bin Laden, and the answer would be the same. Claypool. I'm wanting no part of OBJ today. None. 0.
Too soon, Sean. Too soon.
Too soon. Okay.
OBJ or Claypool.
I mean, it is tough. I mean, if we knew that OBJ was fully healthy, I would say 100% OBJ, but we don't. We don't know what that usage is going to be, so I'm going to roll Claypool.
I'm going to say OBJ just because as much as we don't know what his use is going to be, we don't know how much Claypool is going to be used, and I'm hoping that they have purposely tried to get him involved, right? You just purposely tried to get him involved. So I'm going to roll that dice. Jerry Jeudy or Robbie Anderson, Sean?
Boy, that's a good one. That's a good problem to have. Give me Robbie Anderson. He's a known quantity. I really like Robbie a lot, especially today. I really like Jeudy too, but man, if he gets put on Bradbury Island, Bradbury could shut him down.
I'm just going to copy and paste what Sean said. I mean, that was exactly what I was going to say. Give me Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, I think. Well, I'd be if I don't go Robbie Anderson, then what the hell were we just talking about in DraftKings? So I've got to go Robbie Anderson. Plus, man, that Giants defense is going to be a little better than everyone thinks that they're going to be. And what Sean was talking about with the 9/11 stuff and everything, I don't want any part of the Denver Broncos offense this week. Shenault or Juju, Sean?
I'm going to zag again, man. I really like Shenault.
I don't mean to cut you off, but a full point PPR, excuse me.
In a full point PPR, that makes it even easier. Give me Shenault. I mean, you're going to see, here's what you're going to see with Lawrence today. You're going to see RPOs out of the shotgun, and when he's under center, he's going to be running bootlegs. And Shenault's going to be coming across on drag routes in the seam. I mean, he might not have 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he might have 9 catches for 60. And in a PPR, you're raking.
I mean, you really can't go wrong. I mean, I'm going to go Shenault, but I don't think Juju's going to be a bad play today.
Well, you can go wrong, and we will all judge.
I just like you know that Pittsburgh's going to be playing from behind, and Juju is the slot guy. He's the one that's going to get he's the short yardage. He's the one that's going to rack up the catches. I think like you can't go wrong in that scenario.
I am going to go with Juju myself, and it's only because I've got him slightly higher in my own personal rankings. I will start releasing these this coming week. I'm going to be doing it on YouTube exclusively. So if you want the rankings, we're going to put them out probably. Can't get them out as quick as Thursday because there's too many injury concerns, but we're probably going to put them out on Saturday. And so if you want them, I'm going to rattle them off in a pretty short video every single week on a YouTube. And if other people can, have time to record with me, we'll work that in as well. But I like Juju for exactly what Steven just said. I don't need to add to it. Sean, Michael Pittman or Callaway? I think we already know your answer.
That is actually kind of tough because Callaway is nominally going to be the number 1. And for whatever you think about New Orleans, Green Bay's defense isn't really anything to write home about. I don't want to touch anybody other than Kamara. So give me Pittman.
Yeah, give me Pittman. I mean, Green Bay's defense is not, the cream of the crop, but Jared Alexander is, and he's going to be on Callaway. I don't want in DFS. I mean, he's going to be very, very popular from what we saw in the preseason, but I want zero part of Marquez Callaway today. Just avoid him at all costs.
I think Pittman is the safer play. Bigger ceiling is going to be Callaway. So if you're, for some reason, you're down by a bunch because you went up against like Dak Prescott and Antonio Brown and, whoever in that first game, and you're trying to swing for the fence, okay, fair enough. But a solid play, I think, is Pittman. Russell Gage, Elijah Moore, or Ruggs. You can only pick one. Full point PPR. Sean, go.
Elijah Moore.
Steven?
Yeah, I'm going to go Elijah Moore.
I'm going to go Gage. I think that's going to be a high-scoring game, and I like Gage's. We know what Gage can do, and I'm afraid that Derek Carr might be running for his ever-loving life. Full point PPR, Juju or Mostert? Sean?
In a full point PPR, I'm going to take Juju just because I don't think Mostert is a receiving target in that offense. I know the numbers don't back that up, but with the talent that they've added and a full off season for Ayuk, it's going to be a lot of Ayuk and Debo and Kittle. Kittle's healthy. Like Mostert, I think is just going to be the handoff running back. They're not going to have to throw to him like they did last year because Kittle's back, full off season of Ayuk, Debo in the slot. I just don't see it.
Steven?
Yeah, and I'm not taking Mostert there. I mean, Debo essentially is their receiving back. His average depth of target is 2.6. I mean, yeah, just like sit Mostert in that scenario.
I think San Francisco is going to get out in front and run the ball. I would probably go Mostert because I think he's going to have a pretty good game. I do like Juju's matchup with Pittsburgh, but I'm just looking at Mostert is the number one back in that offense. And until he gets hurt, which could be in the second quarter, I would go ahead and start him. Damn, he makes me so mad sometimes.
He's very frustrating.
Sometimes. Damn it, he makes me so mad for the last 3 seasons. Here's an interesting one. These are blasts from the past is what I'll call this one. I'll start with Steven this time. Cobb or Green from Arizona. So AJ Green or Randall Cobb for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Full point PPR.
I'm going to go Cobb. I think Devontae Adams is not going to be seeing the 37% target share he saw last year, and Aaron Rodgers is going to want to welcome back Randall Cobb in a nice way. So I think he scores a touchdown today.
Sean, what say you?
I wish I could answer with neither, but I can't. I'm gonna zag and I'm gonna say AJ Green, even though I think he's completely washed and he looked washed last year. Listen, Amani Hooker, Jack Rabbit Jenkins, Bud Dupree, Kevin Byard. I think everybody's going to be on DeAndre Hopkins, and the Cardinals don't have a lot past that, so they're going to have to throw to somebody. If it's not going to be Christian Kirk, and it's not going to be anything out of the backfield, Green's going to maybe get a lot of really quick slants. I'm not touching Cobb.
I'm going more the answer.
I'm going Cobb because he's going to play the slot, whether people like it or not. That's why he was brought back to Green Bay. And I almost feel like in week 1, Aaron Rodgers is going to make a point to get him the ball in the end zone. I just have this feeling because he stomped his feet and powdered until he got Cobb back. If he doesn't use him, everyone's gonna be like, "Well, what the hell did you bring him back for?" So that's what
it was the same thing with Brady and Gronk in the Super Bowl. They both had that feeling.
Absolutely. Marquise Brown or Jamar Chase, Steven?
Ooh, I like that one. I'm gonna go Hollywood just because we don't know how Chase is gonna be involved in that offense yet. There's so many injuries on Baltimore that Hollywood's gonna get some work. And that Raiders defense is just abysmal.
Sean?
Yeah, I'm going to go Brown for the same reason. Their other options are, Mark Andrews, Devin Duvernay, who was drafted 800 years ago. I'm just not believing it.
I agree. I'm not drafting. I'm not playing skillet hands until he burns me at least once. Gaskin or Henderson, Steven?
I'm not big on either today. I'm going to go Gaskin, though.
Sean?
I'm going to go Henderson. He actually had a propensity for torching bottom 10 run defenses, which the Bears are a bottom 10 run defense, and they're coming in with guys hurt. So
I'm more concerned about gameplay and how good that New England defense might be. So I'll lean Henderson, not necessarily for the entire season, but I'll definitely lean Henderson for today. I just feel like they're going to get the lead and they're going to be able to kind of dictate what they want to do. Hunt or Tyson Williams, Sean?
Hunt, just because he's a known quantity. I don't like anything in Baltimore in that game. Again, I can't say it enough. I really think the Raiders are going to shock some people.
Steven?
My mind says Hunt, but my gut says Tyson Williams. I'm gonna roll with Hunt though.
Yeah, I'll go with Hunt. Himes or James Conner, Sean?
James Conner. Naheem's really good, but Connor's gonna steal some goal line touchdowns this year.
I'm gonna go Hines here.
I'll lean Hines because until I see that Connor's actually going to vulture, I'm a little skeptical. Jacobs or Harris or Gordon, can only pick one. Sean?
Josh Jacobs, Damian Harris, Melvin Gordon.
Correct. Sorry.
Josh Jacobs.
Okay. Steven?
Josh Jacobs.
I'm going to go Damian Harris. I think they're going to lean with the rookie just because of gameplay. Man, Jacobs just, I don't know, man. That guy just disappears. He what do they do this year if Lamar Jackson goes heading to the crapper in the middle of the game? They've got no one to hand the ball to. They're going to have to burn a bunch of timeouts, punt.
Wildcat.
It's 2nd and 5. I don't care. Punt, man.
Not to interrupt, late update for our DraftKings lineup just came across from Schefter. Trey Sermon has been downgraded to out today. So that upgrades Mostert value. That upgrades Mostert value. And if you've got Sermon in your lineups, plan accordingly.
All right. I'll go back and change that out for, I forget the receiver that we have, but I'll change that out after the show. Saquon Barkley or Mike Davis, Sean?
I don't like Saquon today against that Denver defense. Give me Funk. That game is going to be bananas.
Steven.
Mike Davis.
Yeah, Davis for sure. Barkley's giving a pinch count, and I don't care what they keep telling you on ESPN and all the other ones. Rappaport's saying that the Chargers are saying that Eckler's a full go. So they keep saying that he's going to try to suit up. I don't know why they're saying that. Rappaport and several others are saying that it's a full go. So unless you see something last minute, man, Eckler, by all means, put him in. Edmonds or Hunt, Sean?
Hunt. Same thing we keep saying with Arizona. I just don't know who's going to be the feature.
Steven.
Yeah, Hunt.
Yeah, I think he's the safe play. Although, man, I'll tell you what, the ceiling for Edmonds, that could be big today. Zach Moss or Michael Carter, Sean?
Michael Carter.
And why didn't you watch our show earlier in the summer? These guys wouldn't be on your roster. Steven.
Michael Carter. You picked up Michael Carter everywhere, Dave.
Dude, not as I'm a starter. I mean, that guy, he's like that third guy off the bench. Same thing with Zach Moss. If I've got him and I'm starting him, I made a terrible mistake. I got too drunk. There's a fine line between ending up with someone like Najee Harris in your starting lineup and Michael Carter in your starting lineup. That means you got too drunk. You went all in on tight ends. Dude, I've got 3 leagues that I realized that my tight end's my flex. I'm what the hell was I doing? That was a little drinky right there. Because I got Waller and Pitts.
Yeah, okay.
But still, I mean, that's going all in on Pitts is what that is. Tannehill or Jameis, Sean?
Tannehill, 100 times out of 100.
I don't think there's an argument there. Fitzmagic or Jimmy G, Steven?
Fitzmagic. There's not an argument there.
I agree.
None.
Hurts or Stafford? We'll go to Steven first because I know how much you are on Hurts.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I drafted Hurts in so many leagues was partially because of this week 1 matchup. You do not let running quarterbacks go in that dome.
He's your Kyle Pitts. He's your Kyle Pitts, right? Hurts is to you what Pitts is to me.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, do you disagree? Because I'm going Stafford.
No, I don't disagree at all. There's no argument there.
Sunday night football, Stafford's going to ball out. They're going to.
Yep.
I just think they're going to light it up. Not that Hurts is going to do poorly, but I've got more faith in McVay than I do in whatever the hell's going on in Philadelphia right now. Speaking of Philadelphia, Goddard or Ertz, Sean?
I'm going to say Ertz because I think they want to trade him for a draft pick. So I actually think he's going to be a big part of the game plan. But God, if you have other options, please explore them.
Steven.
Yep. Sean said it.
I think Ertz has been underdrafted all offseason. I really do. I think Ertz is the guy. If you read,
they want to pump up his value. They want to get a first round pick.
Not to mention the fact he's been practicing with the first team.
Yep.
All summer long. It's not Goddard. Everyone's just is going off of what happened last year. And they're also saying something else that's impressive. Who knows if it'll mean anything, but they're saying that Ertz is the first in and the last out of that building every single day. So
Sometimes you just got to listen to what the teams are telling you, and they're telling us right now that Ertz is the guy.
Sometimes you got to listen to what your wife's telling you, and Julie's probably telling Zach, hey, check it out. Things ain't going well here in women's soccer. People ain't watching us anymore. We kind of pissed them off, so you need to go get paid because I ain't going to get paid.
And not pull a Blake Griffin.
I'm the only one who's like not kneeling. You got to go get paid for us. Ready? Johnny Smith or Gesicki? Steven.
I'm going to go Jonnu. I think they Patriots shut down Gesicki today.
Sean?
I'm going to zag. Gesicki's one of Tua's favorite targets. Go look at the yardage game plans last year. He was hurt a couple of the games, but before he went out of the game, he's a huge target for Tua. And I need to see what Mac looks like. I don't know how much Jonnu is going to get targeted.
I'm always nervous with Patriots game plans receivers, so I'm going to go.
Exactly. They've got 11 guys they can use. All of them are going to get 6 points.
Tunyon or Higbee? Steven.
I'm going to go Higbee. Chicago was surprisingly bad against tight ends last year, and Gerald Everett's gone.
Sean, excuse me.
Steven's got a good point, but I'm not taking Higbee until I see it out of Stafford. He was pretty inconsistent at targeting tight ends in his career in Detroit. So I don't want any part of Higbee. Give me the other one.
I had that whole conversation with Brian last night. It is definitely risky, but the upside with I like the upside with Higbee.
Only reason why I'm taking Tunyon is I do think that's going to be a light show. It's a fun setting. New Orleans, Green Bay in Jacksonville, right? So it's almost like a bowl game. It's weird, but I wish I could have went to that game. But that should be a lot of fun. I'm just going to go with Tunyon just because, man, there are just so many options on that damn Rams offense. I don't know what they're going to go with.
I will clarify. I don't think either will be a bad pick today.
Flex, you only pick one. It's a full point PPR. Logan Thomas, Russell Gage, or Naheem Hines. Sean.
Full point PPR, give me Logan Thomas, especially if the Chargers bracket McLaurin, which I think is likely. I think he's going to see Asante Samuel Jr., and I'm forgetting who their number one is. But yeah, I think Thomas could be a big target today.
Steven.
Yeah, I'm going Thomas too.
I want to pick Thomas, but I've talked about him too much today. I'm going to stick with Russell Gage. I think we're going to find out what that offense is going to look like with them both being healthy, and I think much more attention is going to be paid to Mr. Ridley, which should leave Gage open for some catches. And I'll tell you something else. Fitzmagic has to prove to me that he likes tight ends, and he likes to chuck it deep. So I had him circled in a lot of leagues, and then he started going much earlier than I thought he would go. So I don't even know how many shares I have of
I think Rivera and Scott Turner are going to rein him in, but I that's not a bad point at all. But I think Rivera and Scott Turner want to control the ball.
32. Someone just inboxes want to know how many leagues I'm in this year. 32. After I said I was going to trim the fat.
Well, you were in 38 last year, so
yeah,
you kind of did trim the fat. You trimmed like 1/4 of an inch off a 90-pound ribeye. But,
hey,
I was about to say like it's still fat, but
I said I was going to stay under 25, and I wildly missed that. I kept forgetting about other leagues. People were like, guys, man, I need help. Son of a.
I said I was going to play in less this year, and somehow you roped me into 4 in Yahoo, a sleeper. Trosh has got me in a picks league. I'm like a crack addict over here. I'm like, I said I was out. I'm like Cookie.
We got an hour. We got an hour before kickoff. We can do a best ball. Let's cram one in.
Like Chris,
I was about to say like we forgot our Survivor League.
Yeah, Survivor League. I'm like Chris Rock in New Jack City. I'm like staring at the pipe going, I don't want to do it.
We didn't even get that organized. Let's do the Survivor League, but let's start it next week because I'm not going to be able to play phone tag in the next 60 minutes. Steven, try to remind me that like Monday or Tuesday, and I'll start getting some people involved in that. All right. We're going to our picks against the spread. If y'all missed the first hour, the one that was taken was Bobby went with the Chargers +2. Originally, my pick was going to be the Washington football team, but we're not going to counter each other. So that is off the board. So Bobby took the Chargers +2. So we're going to go to Steven first. I think I know who you're picking, but I just want to clarify what is your pick against the spread today?
I'm just gonna go. I'm playing it safe today. I saw this line and it just seems way too low. The Chiefs are only getting 5.5 points at against the Browns. I am loading up on that. Especially coming off that Super Bowl loss against Tampa, they are going to want to make a statement all preseason long. They proved they were the best team in the NFL, and I think they're going to go out there and show it today, winning by 2 touchdowns or more.
Okay.
Chiefs -5.5.
Sean, what say you?
Yeah, I sent you guys the legs that I have in a separate text message, and I do the one thing that McGee tells me year after year not to do, which is multiple leg parlays that almost never win. When they do, I win a lot of money, and 90% of the time they don't hit because one team hoses me. Like the Braves hosed me yesterday. I had a 14 baseball parlay, all pieces of it hit, and then they lose to the Marlins. Get out of here. But I've got a bunch today. The one I like the most, and I mentioned this earlier, I love this game. It's going to be on the television. Give me the Giants +3. 9/11 Memorial, having the national anthem sung by one of the young ladies whose father was a firefighter in Tower 1. It's just, there's going to be a lot of emotion in that building. I know once they snap the ball, they're giving it to Daniel Jones, and unfortunately, that's a problem. But on the other side of the field, you got Fanny Pack Fangio and Pat Shurmur, who's been one of the worst offensive coordinators in the NFL for 100 years, loves to run on all downs. This game's got 17-14 Giants written all over it. So give me the 3.
All right, so my secondary pick, because I really do like Washington, but maybe Bobby's on to something with the Chargers going east. But my secondary pick, I guess, look, we talked about this before. The line's actually gone down a full point since yesterday morning. Maybe there's this huge injury that I'm not aware of. The Jacksonville Jaguars and Houston Texans, the over-under is 45.5, and I expect that game to be high scoring. So I'm going to take the over on this. Yesterday it was 46.5, like early Saturday morning. So I'm going to take the over on this. I don't have a lot of faith in Houston's offense per se, but I have less faith in Jacksonville's defense. And so that's the game that I like. We got a few minutes to spare. Sean, give me another one that you kind of like or, are thinking about, because I know that you're throwing parlays out there.
Yeah, absolutely. The kid Steven has alluded to this game a couple of times. I really like this game. It's actually going to be in my 4-game mix. Carolina -3.5 at home against the Jets. This is a grudge game. You've got these guys that played for the Jets, and I think their ire was directed at Adam Gase, who is, I think, the quarterback's coach at Bowling Green or wherever that freaking bug-eyed loser is now. I don't even know where he is. But Carolina has more talent on, especially the defensive line, than people realize. The Jets are going to have a really hard time stopping them. Again, they sign, Lawson in the offseason. He tears his Achilles. They replace him with Shaq Lawson, which is like, a guy that I think I watched play in college when I was still in my 20s. So I just don't see how the Jets are going to stop the Panthers at all. They're going to move up and down the field with ease. So give me the Panthers -3.5.
And Steven, what say you?
I got a few more actually. Going off of the Carolina, going off of my 4-touchdown prediction for Sam Darnold, that would put him at 28 points, which is over the 24.5 team total that Vegas has set for Carolina. So I'm going to throw that one out there. And then I like the over on the Atlanta and Philadelphia game. I believe that is at 48 or 48.5. And then I think we're going to see a shootout in Indianapolis today. So I'm going to call over on that as well. Seattle. I think those 2 games are both at 48 or 49. So I'm calling over on both those games.
A couple of things that intrigue me. First of all, I think the Falcons hit the team over on the 27 Eagles. I've already taken this in a few games. The over under in that game is 48.5. I think that thing's going to get well exceeded 48.5. So I do like that one quite a bit. But where was the other one? I just had it on my docket. I lost it. One of the games that I think might be getting overhyped is you're expecting a lot from an NFL team this early. What about the over under in Tennessee 54? I know those offenses are explosive, but man, you're expecting both offenses to come out hitting all cylinders in the first half, because to hit that 54, you're going to have something like a 21-17 game at the half, right? And so that's, I don't know, that right there. I'm not saying I would go the under, but I'm kind of steering clear of that. The other one that I like, and it's climbing, so it might be too late for this. The Patriots were a 3-point favorite at home. It's now climbed to 3.5 over the last 45 minutes. But I do like New England in the to score over 23.5. This is not your Cam Newton's Patriots. It's not going to be 3 yards in a cloud of mud. Dolphins have a decent chance of upsetting the Patriots today, but I expect a little higher scoring from the New England offense. Sean, what is your walk-off for the day, sir?
My walk-off for the day is this.
And your one big thing with your walk-off, excuse me.
So my one big thing was I was going to make my walk-off, but I'll do it in 2 parts. My one big thing is last year in the first 7 weeks of the season, the over hit at almost a 65% rate. You had no fans in the stadiums, right? You didn't have as many holding calls and false starts because there wasn't crowd noise, obviously, so people could hear the cadence better. Now you're going to have packed fans, packed stands everywhere. I think you're going to see more holding calls. I think you're going to see more false starts in the first couple of the weeks of the season. I'm playing a lot of the unders in the first couple of weeks. 49ers, Lions under 46, Jets, Panthers under 44.5. There are a bunch of good plays today. Cardinals, Titans under 53.5. I just think a year without crowd noise and now the crowd's being back in, you're going to get some value on the unders in the first couple of weeks before everybody marginalizes. So that's my one big thing. And my walk-off is, man, it's so great to be back with you guys. It's going to be so great to watch football, to see packed stands full of people. Even my team, as you can see, in my Honolulu Blue, might get blown out by 50 points today. I don't care because there's going to be 78,000 people at Ford Field. Let's freaking go.
Hey, if UCLA football can win in Honolulu Blue, anybody can. Steven,
take that Sissy Blue out of here. Sissy Blue.
Steven, what's your one big thing in your walk-off?
Well, like this one stat I saw just backs up Sean's point perfectly. The average over-under for Week 1 games currently sits at 47.6, which would be the highest average over-under for Week 1 games since 1986, and that is per ESPN. So yeah, I love Sean's theory of betting the unders there. No, like my one big thing today is Ben Roethlisberger is going to come out and he's going to show that he is not washed and that Pittsburgh is going to be a real contender today. I don't know if they're going to beat Buffalo, but they are going to show that that the Pittsburgh is not dead in the AFC.
He's going to tell the Bills what he told that waitress. Oh, this is happening.
Little known fact. First of all, we're 62% against the spread the last 6 years. So
yeah, we are.
Congratulations, everyone involved in that. Last year, 30-14-1 is what I had written down. I'm pretty sure that's where it ended.
Way above the mean, way above the pale.
That's just stupid. If we would have done that right, we'd all be retired right now. But a little known fact about the over-unders in any typical year over I think the last 15 to 17 years is what I saw. If you just bang the under every single week, you win on average about 54% of the time anyways. So people get overexcited and they were like, oh, and fantasy football has a lot to play in this. Well, I want to see it high scoring. No one's rooting for a 13-10, slobber knocker. So, but they're going to happen. But one big thing for this week, it's actually for tomorrow night. I think people who drafted Lamar Jackson are going to be pleasantly surprised in how many points he's going to score because they are going to have to lean on him a lot. And it's time for him to put on his big girl panties and learn how to throw the football down the field. Because if he wants to be known as what in his head he is, which is an elite quarterback, he's got to start making plays down the field with his arm. Because if not, they're going to jam that box. And it's only him and Tyson and then a whole crew of dudes that I think I went to high school with. I mean, these dudes are long in the tooth, man. Every time I see a new name break out, they're like, Larry Zonka's thinking about signing with the Baltimore Ravens. And then my walk-off for the day is very excited for a lot of the games, but obviously Titans, Arizona is at the top of the list. I really wish they would have flexed something into that Sunday night football game. Can we start flexing on week 1? Because Bears and Andy Dalton, that's the Sunday night football game. They could have flexed the game in Jacksonville. Anything would have been better than that. You could throw a dart, and there's not even fantasy. I'd rather watch Vikings than Bengals, honestly, on Sunday night. At least I'd be all right. We got points going. Great job, y'all. We will see y'all next Sunday. It's 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern every single Sunday because we want to give you that hour to absorb what we said and put your bets in, put your fantasy lineups in for all the guys. And we will see you obviously tomorrow on the Wake Up Show. Sean, see you Wednesday? And
see you Wednesday. Happy football, everybody.
Yes,
Good
sir.
luck, everybody.
Yes, sir.